Hello, and thank you for listening. My name is Rebecca Kwiklinski, and I'm a school-based occupational therapist in the Philadelphia area. I work with students age 11 through 21 and am often involved in the assessment and implementation process of assistive technology devices. Over the years, I've noticed the inconsistencies in our district's process when it comes to assistive technology, which is in contrast to the way in which we carry out the IEP process. Not that we never run into problems or make mistakes, but even when this happens, we often have the resources and support to resolve concerns. In this project, I set out to understand why there's such a disconnect. I wanted to have a deeper understanding of the barriers and in what areas research was lacking. In essence, I wanted to understand why my district and the other district I have worked for have so much trouble consistently assessing, implementing, and specifically monitoring assistive technology. I initially theorized that it was due to limited input provided by the student or limited ways in which the team allowed the student to be involved. I found, though, however, that the barriers were a bit deeper than that. I arranged my presentation and my project into 4 parts. The first part is reviewing definitions. Part 2 is the assistive technology process in schools. Part 3 is the barriers and limitations. And Part 4 is moving forward. While I won't read the definitions, I will show you the slides in which the definitions are available for those that would like to read them. That brings us to Part 2, assistive technology process in the schools. While there's a number of different frameworks and assessments that schools utilize, the typical ones being the SET process and the WADI, most of the process is the same in that you want to, number 1, initiate the process. Then you want to identify the members of the team that will help to carry out the process of the assistive technology process. Assessment. Third, you want the assessment for assistive technology, which often includes the student and the assessment of their strengths, their needs, their limitations, their cognitive traits, their emotional traits, their physical traits. Then the environment or the environments in which they perform, the tasks in which they carry out, and the tools in which they support them do so. Number 4 is to have a discussion of the assistive technology systems and recommendations and feature match that with specific technology. Then we have the acquisition and implementation, followed by follow-up and ongoing assessment. That brings us to Part 3, the barriers and limitations. In my research, I found that the problem does not lie within the individual districts alone, but within the process as a whole. There's lack of consistency and universal design for reporting outcomes, and there is lack of stakeholder buy-in despite the positive outcome assistive technology has on quality of life, IEP goal attainment, and participation for children in the school setting. The barriers are as follows: limited funding and lack of stakeholder education. These kind of go hand in hand. If there is lack of education and stakeholders are unaware of the assistive technology process and they're unaware of the outcomes, there really is no incentive for them to increase funding or really to have buy-in at all. There's limited staff training, inconsistent planning and assessment, inconsistencies in implementation, lack of follow-up, lack of outcome measures and data, and limited universal databases or the ability to disseminate or share ideas and resources. So what do we need moving forward? We know assistive technology can provide students with disabilities the opportunity to improve performance and engage more independently. We know we need to develop and integrate a system for the assessment, implementation, and outcome measurements in the school-based setting. In order to do so, we must engage and educate stakeholders so that we're able to increase in funding for education of teachers and staff. We need a delegation an assignment of responsibility among team members, assessing, implementing, and collecting data. In other words, we need to know who's doing what, when they're doing it, how they're doing it, for how long they're doing it, so that we can collect accurate and up-to-date data on the effects of assistive technology in the classroom and in the school. We need a uniform team-based approach to assessment, and we need appropriate high-quality outcome measures. Understanding the barriers and limitations in the research will provide those with insight into their own downfalls as integral partners in the assessment process. It also can help prioritize and plan the way in which we improve our performance within the assistive technology assessment team. In turn, this will provide us with tools to become better teachers or clinicians or related service providers, and to help further support students in the districts that we serve. Thank you very much.